Well, listen, we'll jump into it. I would like to thank everyone for taking the time to join with us today to go through our Q2 quarterly. I'll start by handing over to our CFO.
I think, as John said, the end of Q2 for FY23 for Atomo. Another good quarter for us. Obviously, we're still going through the kind of post-COVID transition phase where customers and partners are looking at where do they go after COVID, what does that mean for rapid diagnostic testing, and how do they differentiate themselves from their competition in terms of their devices and their tests. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. But just to jump into the financials, cash receipts during the quarter of 1.65 million. A chunk of that was made up of the R&D rebate related to expenditure in the 22 year, so that was around 1.2 million. And the rest was receipts from customers, largely made up of revenue from HIV sales across sales to Viatris in global health, global health markets, and also some growing sales in the Australian market, which is encouraging to see. Revenue for the quarter was just under 500,000, bringing revenue for the first half from product sales to 1.4 million. With cash receipts across the first half of 3 million, we finished the period 31 December with over $10 million of cash in hand. Pleasingly, we also had a couple of large orders come through just post the period end close. So we had another 100,000 unit order from Viatris for HIV tests, and we had a further 107,000 unit order for Pascal devices from NG Biotech, who are our partner for rapid blood-based pregnancy testing. So there were some sales that didn't make it into the numbers for Q2 and for the first half that will show up in Q3 and the second half. And John will talk some more about both of those markets and where we're heading, both across HIV and the exciting developments on the pregnancy side, with our renewed partnership with NG Biotech.
Yeah, no, I think, as Will mentioned, we're in a transition phase post-COVID. I think the landscape's changed very positively for us over the medium term, and that is the normalization of home testing. And a lot of the diagnostic companies in the market are really focused on how they can pivot their point of care business more into decentralized and at-home settings. And our platform now is well proven as a market leader in delivering that level of usability. And now we are in the process of bringing our existing customers back onto the platform for relaunch in the form of NG Biotech and the pregnancy sales that we've seen in the last couple of months and the deal we've struck with them. And then also increasing our the awareness of our platform and business in the US market in particular. And I'll be heading to the US for another conference next month to really start to cement some of those opportunities into contracts as we move forward. The HIV business is growing. We're expecting a stronger second half of the year. There was a bit of a hiatus in HIV screening in global health and also developed markets through the pandemic. We're seeing some catch up there. We've, as Will mentioned, received a big order this month already, more to come in the next couple of months. So I think we'll finish the year strongly with HIV and global health. We're also seeing much improved market conditions in Australia. We're into the pharmacy channel now through efforts we've made to directly go to pharmacies, as well as a agreement with API to really scale up the access in pharmacies. And we're looking at how we can promote the product in that private channel sector more effectively, especially with Mardi Gras coming up. But outside of that, we're now focused on engaging with the public health service. HIV testing, as we've always said, is a public health matter, not a discretionary consumer spend. And we're looking to engage with the Australian government, both federal and state, to make sure that rapid testing is reimbursed on a structure comparable with lab testing. That's been lacking in Australia, and I think Australia is now an outlier in its policy position there. And we're making that point to government, as well as the point that other countries are moving ahead with government-supported rapid test programs, and we think there's a lot of momentum with key stakeholders in the country to make that happen. So we're very excited about that. I think a partnership with government would really increase the market opportunity that HIV testing has, and we're the only test that's approved as a self-test currently in Australia. So very excited about that. Outside of Australia, we have a new resource in the UK that's focused on bringing our professional test to market. We have a CE mark approval, and we'll be hoping to announce soon some traction there on the launch of that product, certainly this side of June 30, in terms of that leading through to some revenue. So that's all moving in the right direction. And beyond that, as Will mentioned, we've been keen to expand our portfolio. We struck a deal that we're very excited about with NG Biotech. They're currently selling the product in a number of markets in Europe. They just relaunched it after a break when they were focused on COVID. They recently also purchased product for Brazil. They've received regulatory approval there. They have placed a further order on us for additional volume going into this calendar year. And then beyond that, we have secured rights to the product under an Atomo or third-party brand for us to commercialize in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the US. And that US market access allows us to now engage with a number of established channel partner opportunities in the US. Pregnancy, as you know, is a very well-established at-home test category. There are no blood tests as yet approved in that home test market. We feel that our Pascal device is ideally suited to get an OTC approval in the US, and pregnancy by way of blood confirmation is more aligned with doctor office confirmation, and blood seen as a more reliable and in many cases earlier to detect sample type than urine. So we think there's a real opportunity to take a market leader position there. We'll also be working to put that dossier into the TGA for local registration, and we've already commenced some channel partner discussions on the launch of that product, and the work we've done with HIV really supports the introduction of pregnancy now into the pharmacy channel. And we're working on a number of other applications that also go on Pascal and can go into that consumer market, and we expect to be able to announce them, in the coming months. So certainly very excited about the new finished products that we are bringing to market, and also encouraged by the amount of interest now for the platform outside of our own products. So in that OEM device business where we supply our products to other companies, having secured regulatory approval now for different platforms in different key markets. We have some regulatory approvals that we can refer to when we're talking to potential customers. We have got NG successfully selling their pregnancy product as well as our own HIV business. So all of that lends enormous credibility to the platform. And we're now seeing renewed interest from companies that are really focused on the ability to test at home through both retail sales as well as the US market that's now online and covered by reimbursement in many cases through telehealth consults. That allows us to really position that OEM business as something to grow in the US, and the usability study that we had done in late 2022 delivered results that we were extremely pleased with. It showed a very high level of user preference for our platform over the standard chemistry set bits and box format that's typically used in home testing. Not only was it preferred by users, but it reduced errors, critical errors that can lead to non-accurate results. It reduced, in terms of blood delivery, errors by more than 90%. In terms of buffer delivery, removed that error completely, took it from 16% down to 0. So we're really excited about the proven performance of that. That's now validated, and we'll be using that to support regulatory applications in the US and Australia, as well as obviously using that as one of our key talking points for evidencing the benefits of the product when we're talking to third parties that may be interested in using it. So I think that's going to lead to significant commercial traction in the coming months and quarters, and we're very excited about that. Really for us, the focus now is to continue to scale up the HIV business, launch the pregnancy business, and secure meaningful market penetration with some well-positioned channel partners in key markets, bring on a number of new tests over the coming 12 to 18 months beyond pregnancy, and then scale up that OEM business so that installed capacity that we have can be deployed into supplying those devices to other diagnostics companies that are going to guarantee us broader market penetration as well as volumes as they roll out. So we think we're well positioned. We've got a cash balance to support that strategy, and we're very judicious in how that money's been spent. and excited about the coming quarter. Mark, if you're back on audio, we're happy to take any questions you might have or any from the audience.
Yeah, John, I'm back on. I just want to confirm you can hear me okay now.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Just if we can, I just want to pick up on a point from where you were just there at the end in terms of the other tests that you're looking to maybe bring onto the platform. I mean, is it, you know, something to do like with, you know, basic liver function or basic kidney function or testing cholesterol levels? You know, what are some of the avenues you're currently engaged with, I guess, other parties in terms of what kind of test might eventuate if you can put a deal together?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and one that we've been kind of working through for the last 12 months really now. And what we've been trying to do is find applications that kind of are in the sweet spot. And by that I mean there's an existing commercially available assay that we can utilize. We don't want to be spending a lot of time and effort and cash doing R&D in chemistry development. That's not our core focus. So we want to have an assay that's commercially available from a trusted partner that we can rely on, not just to get the approval, but to supply. We want to make sure that we've got a regulatory pathway that can be delivered so that we don't end up running into trouble with the clinical and regulatory delivery of the product to market. And thirdly, and most importantly, we want to make sure that there is genuine market demand for that application on our platform in a decentralized setting like a pharmacy or at home. And that's the key success, because what we don't want to do is build it and hope they will come. We want to make sure we're delivering products that the market want, and that's where the engagement with some of these larger US-based distribution partners has been really helpful, as well as some of the emerging e-commerce players, as well as doing our own market research and consumer awareness research to really hone in on the applications that we think will drive sales over the coming sort of 5 to 7 years. So we're looking at a mix of infectious diseases where there's a proven need, so at-home STI testing, so building on that HIV footprint, looking at things like hepatitis and herpes, as well as swab-based applications using our new swab device, things like gonorrhea, syphilis, and other swab-based sampling at-home tests. That's a very well-established market. And at-home testing for STIs is now increasingly getting reimbursed by public health in the US. And I think, you know, with some pressure brought to bear in the Australian government, we're hopeful that that could be a channel here. Outside of infectious disease, there's a growing consumer market, things like iron deficiency, vitamin D deficiency, celiac and anemia, and allergy potentially. So there's a real opportunity for consumer testing. The challenge there is that those markets aren't necessarily being delivered at home because companies have not been able to get the regulatory approvals to support those market entries, but we think our device opens up that opportunity. So they're the kinds of applications that we're focused on, and I think as the commercial discussions with channel partners solidify, we'll be able to lock those in and get those announced to market.
Okay, great. And then just on the orders that came in post the end of the quarter, just a question on, you know, how long before they, you know, get delivered, convert to cash? You know, should we expect to see that coming through in the next quarter, or is it, you know, given the volumes, you know, they're both over 100,000, will it be more over the first half rather than in this third quarter, or sorry, second half rather than in this third quarter?
Yeah, so we're already in production, Mark, on the HIV product, so that should go out this quarter. And similarly, the Pascal devices that NG Biotech have ordered, they're underway. Whether they fall in this quarter or just the beginning of the next quarter remains to be seen in terms of delivery, but that's, yeah, they're both underway, so imminent.
Yeah, and I just add to that, we are, you know, hopeful of further sizable orders coming through from different countries where the product's been registered, the HIV product I'm talking about. So I do think there'll be a number of orders coming through in this quarter that will then feed into revenues growing into quarter four as we get towards 30 June.
Okay, great. And then on the UK business development person you've got on the ground there, I just want to, is their focus primarily on the UK market, but or is it a kind of UK-based role, but they're also looking at some of the bigger European markets given the CE approval that you've got in place?
Yeah, no, they're based in the UK, but they're very much representing us in Europe and also in the Middle East. Anna Tucker is the new executive there, and she's actually heading today to Arab Health. We've got a booth there. We'll be looking to establish distribution channel opportunities in the Middle East and possibly into Southeast Asia. That gives us opportunities for both the HIV product, as well as potentially offering NG some channel partners in some of those other markets for pregnancy, as well as then setting up an in-country partner for us to bring these other tests into. So I think her background is setting up and managing distributor networks, and we think a distributor network across Europe, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia allows us to go to market directly into those channels, and then in larger markets like Europe and the US, we'll be looking for some channel partner support. And we've got Jim McMenemy over in the US that's doing the equivalent role in North America. So we are able now to really deliver regional commercial support to our partners, and I think that's really helpful.
And I just want to touch on the scale up thing, John, for a bit of history, especially on the HIV facilities. I mean, if you want to just quickly give people a bit of background on, what the capacity and facilities are in place to deal with, the ramp up now, given that, a lot of investment has gone in getting set up for this ramp up, so that you don't get caught with kind of supply constraints.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the nice points of where we are at the moment is that CapEx is spent. We have the manufacturing capacity installed and qualified. We can make up to 20 million cassettes per annum. We've got our own Atomo run facility in South Africa, a small facility. It's got about 15 staff, but allows us to make up to 3 million HIV self-test products per year under our own control. And that facility's been audited and certified by the TGA, CE mark notified body, and also the World Health Organization. So that's a facility that we could also potentially look to utilize for new tests that we want to bring to market, such as, allergy or anemia or ferritin or those types of applications. So that installed base is there, the CapEx is spent, and that allows us to now focus on commercial rollout without having to continue to invest into production. And that's why we've been able over the last 6 months to conserve our cash and pivot into commercial activities and not have to spend money on further R&D and manufacturing infrastructure. That's all ready to go.
Okay, great. And then is there anything, I know you talked about the usability study that finished off the back end of last year. Is there anything over the next 6 to 12 months we should be looking out from Atomo in terms of clinical research or kind of further validation of the platform, either on the blood tests, on the pregnancy side or on the HIV side, that will kind of push along the case for making these more available for use at home or in a pharmacy setting, be it in the Australian market or in other international markets?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. I mean, that study, we've known intuitively that the device really improves outcomes for users, particularly untrained users, and we've a number of sort of aligned studies that demonstrated that, but what we didn't have was a large independent study that really validated that for the market and for regulators and partners. And I think the results from that have been outstanding, certainly, more than exceeded my expectations. So we're delighted with that. It proves the product's better. It proves it's easier to use. It proves that users prefer it overwhelmingly. And I think all of that really gives us a massive headwind as we sort of sail into that US market and try and close out some of those discussions. Beyond that, application-wise, we are working with NG to deliver a study that will, we believe, quantify how much earlier the pregnancy test delivers a positive result than a urine-based test. Earlier detection is critical in a number of markets. We think being able to demonstrate an earlier detection window than a urine test will add significant commercial interest to the product and will allow us to secure some really top level channel partner engagement, both in hospital as well as over-the-counter markets. And I think that study will be really helpful in establishing exactly what the blood test benefits are outside of our usability. The HIV test, it's been tested by pretty much everybody. It's been trialed in multiple countries. I think it's the best performing test on the market. That evidence is there. I don't think we need to spend more money on HIV, but certainly for new applications, we're taking existing assays that are on the market in a much less user-friendly format. We'll obviously be having to revalidate them on our platform, but that's a proven pathway for us. And with that, we'll expect to see improved clinical performance that will obviously, point to when we're launching those products and showing the market just how good our device is at delivering usability.
Very great. So we'll keep an eye out for that NG study at some stage in 2023. I just want to check if we got any questions from the audience as of yet. None as yet.
So Mark, in terms of just on that point, Mark, I think that those studies won't necessarily be released, but the proof will be in the approvals that are obtained on the back of those studies. I think, just to clarify that point.
Okay. So
yeah.
But
that's what people. If you think about what people should keep an eye out for in terms of releases coming from Atomo over the next 6+ months, that's what it is. It's the TGA approval for the pregnancy test here in Australia, and then it's submission to the FDA of the trial studies and so forth, and then ultimately the approvals from the FDA.
And I think along that pathway, agreements around different channel distribution arrangements for various countries and various markets, both professional and self-test.
Okay. And we'll definitely keep an eye out for those. And other outstanding regulatory approvals, anything major in Asia perhaps that we should be on the lookout for as well?
Well, our existing HIV approval gives us the opportunity to register in a range of markets, and we do have the HIV product now registered and launched in more than 20 countries through various partners. With regard to pregnancy, obviously getting the TGA approval, as that comes, it then offers export certification that can be used to register in other markets in Southeast Asia. So we're certainly in the process of looking to prioritize that. And Anna, as I mentioned, is at Arab Health to try and find some suitable distribution partners into those markets. So as those two things come together, we'll be looking to follow up with a local launch, in Southeast Asia, and in parallel with that, moving forward with an FDA submission.
Okay, great. John, I think we might leave it there if we don't have any further questions from the audience at this time, which I don't think we have, because I do know we have Terry standing by. So I think we'll leave it there. And thanks very much for coming back in and giving us an update on all things Atomo, and we'll keep an eye out on the ASX for further updates. And thanks for persevering with the sound and technical thing just at the start there, but I think we managed to get through those, and I think everybody was able to hear the presentation after that.